How was your experience in the educational system while you were feeling unwell?
Well, for me, it was difficult because it took me a few years to realise that I was unwell in the educational system. So I wasn't quite as sure myself when I was in college. I didn't realise that I was unwell for a couple of years. It took me a couple of years to realise I was unwell. I think that there should be more awareness around mental illness in the educational system. Really, the way forward for anyone with mental illness is to be able to realise they have mental illness and to be able to cope with it and deal with it in a progressive manner, in a way that they can, improve their own lifestyle and be able to integrate into society with people and be able to live a normal life in such a way as other people might live ordinary lives. Because when you're mentally unwell, it's hard to have the motivation. It's hard to get involved in different things. And when you're in school or in college, there's a lot going on, especially in college with clubs and societies. So there's opportunities there to avail of societies and clubs that would further your own development. But if you're unwell, if you're unwell or you have mental illness, and there's nobody helping you, or there's nobody aware that you have it, and there's nobody there to help you, you're in a downward spiral, and your world is in such a way that you can't relate to people and you can't be involved in student life. So really, for someone with mental illness involved in education, they really have to try and deal with their mental illness and put that first. And once they're dealing with their mental illness, they can then take up other activities to further their lifestyles and to integrate with other students and to live a full life and to be able to develop lifelong friendships. And
one of the most important things with mental illness is recognizing the symptoms very early, especially in colleges, even in secondary schools. If I, as a person suffering from paranoid schizophrenia, that's my condition, if I had been noticed earlier when I was firstly attending college, if there had been any sets in place where teachers were educated to recognize early symptoms of mental illness, it could have been stopped there and then. I would have attended college more. I wouldn't have been sedated with medication to the point of where I went from being almost an athlete to bloated, unfit, lethargic, sedated. My creativity went, and I think if it just had been where there was a better education system around, just people in the community, but more importantly in places of positions such as work and education, that my illness could have been stopped and treated to a point where I could have continued on with my development rather than being segregated for the community in a mental institution for almost a year. It's a devastating thing, really, that there aren't policies and education put for people to be saved. Mental illness, I'm sure, kills when it's addressed towards mental illness and suicide. People just need to be educated, especially people in schools. It's unfair for people to have to go in and interact and pretend everything's normal. Be involved with social grouping. I mean, I attended courses where a lot of the grade was attached with attending. Some people are agoraphobic; they're afraid to go out because they can't face communities.
So you mentioned secondary school there. Do you feel that any of the teachers that you might have dealt with were aware even?
No. I was raging out. I wasn't at home. I was suffering from personal problems that probably affected my mental illnesses too, and people didn't give a damn. They were just in there. You learn. You soak up the facts, and who gives a damn about anything that's going on in your personal life?
I think signs are there. Students or lecturers or tutors might notice signs like poor dress sense, or the student might not be able to make eye contact, or they mightn't be able to speak up for themselves or talk for themselves.
Aware of your students. Be aware of their social interactions and set parameters in place in the workplace, in society, in the education place, to recognise it early and help people before they destroy their lives in their youth.
Approached in a school when I was suffering. Even now, I find if I go to talk to someone, I want to talk to a friend, and they tell me you need professional help.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I'm very hurt by that, and I get paranoid. And maybe if I was in a school and a teacher came up to me and said, "Do you know, I think you're experiencing some," and as sensitive as they could be, mental illness, I would probably be very panicked and want to go home and kill myself to not have to face school tomorrow. What would you...
Well, that's what you see. You need basic training to be able to relate to people on a human level, relate them in a way that they feel comfortable with you, that they, paranoid schizophrenia, you trust nobody. That was my condition.
Yeah.
They're all against you. It's everybody against you. But if they can relate to you, if they have basic training and basic psychology to be able to relate to a person as a human being and form a responsible bond with them, the same way I'm sure when you discuss your private issues with a psychiatrist, that they can relate to you on a level where they feel comfortable, they feel safe, and they can actually express and release some of the built up emotions, some of the built up worry, some of the built up pain to someone that can analyse it in a professional way while still remaining, caring and courteous and warm with the person. I mean, that's the way to do it,